Does anybody remember Star Wars Detours?
Yo dudes, the Empire's pretty chill.
Before George Lucas sold Lucasfilm to Disney, plans were in motion for a new animated comedy series centered around the Star Wars galaxy. Announced in 2012, the show was a collaboration between Lucasfilm Animation and Robot Chicken creators Seth Green and Matthew Senreich. Small amounts of footage and content have been revealed for the Detours series. This gave a fairly substantial account for the acquired taste in comedy it represents. Most of the accumulated footage comes from the trailers and promotional shorts released around the show's announcement. But changing the original plans for the show, with Disney acquiring the rights to Star Wars, the show was placed on hiatus with no plans for a release. Nothing is confirmed for the moment, but rumors and speculation have suggested that Detours may still have a chance to air, only this time it would appear exclusively on Disney+. Throughout many interviews discussing the Detours show, Seth Green has come across as very humble and accepting of the liminal inconsistent future for the show. With Lucasfilm adapting the broad future for the franchise, such as working on episodes 7, 8 and 9, Detours was postponed in order to make way for the reintroduction of Star Wars to a new generation. So what does this mean exactly? It was a point I personally did not consider, but on reflection I feel was the appropriate move under circumstances for the future of the franchise. Since Detours would inevitably find its way to a younger demographic of viewers, it is very likely that for some, this would be their introduction to Star Wars. With how impressionable young children can be, it would seem redundant for these characters to be perceived in their comedic fashion when compared to the source material. Seth Green makes an excellent point about this, using Darth Vader's presence as the villain as an example.
If kids spend 3 years in advance of seeing episode 7 being introduced to Vader as this kind of bumbling, middle manager, I don't know, we all felt like that was kind of negligible.
Recognizing how hopeful he is about the series eventually being released, Seth has stayed very positive throughout. Currently, the expectation is an eventual release for the series now that episode 9 has concluded the sequel trilogy. With the project now shelved, in September 2013, Seth Green revealed that a total of 39 episodes were fully complete, awaiting the opportunity to finally see the light of day. Adding to this, an additional 62 scripts have been produced for more episodes to come. The length of each individual episode is unknown, but I feel it is likely for each episode to be approximately 11 minutes long. This would certainly help with the pacing, and would account for the sheer quantity of episodes when compared to the planned seasons. With this in mind, similarities can be drawn to Robot Chicken in its structure. Detours feels like a sketch show, only instead of randomized popular culture, it uses the Star Wars galaxy for its gag-like humor. Releasing the series after nearly a decade in purgatory is unexpected. Several bits of information correlate to this potentially happening sooner than we think. In 2018, despite everything remaining quiet about Detours, Lucasfilm filed a trademark for the show's title. This may hint to something possibly going on behind the scenes. Whether plans for the show were now going forward in private, or Disney was simply covering their backs ensuring full ownership of the property, regardless, it does seem questionable to say the least. Jumping forward to 2019, in an interview with Collider, Seth Green gave a detailed statement about the current status of Detours. He spoke about whether we were any closer to the release of the series in reference to the establishment of the streaming platform Disney+. In short, he doesn't really know what the current plans are for the Detours series. That said, it isn't his decision to make. It does seem unfortunate, rendering him powerless over a project he is clearly passionate about. Seth once again is humble in his recognition for how the series was planned before the Disney takeover, and how their plans for relaunching the franchise clearly outweighed that of a deconstructive comedy series. He is hopeful for the show's release, even going as far as stating that a clear, vocal fan demand would be the best possible method to fast-track plans for Detours to release much sooner. Moving on a year later, in 2020, an entire episode sketch leaked online. As expected, this was then deleted but can still be found if you know where to look. It seems far too coincidental that content from a show considered to be on hold would somehow leak online. I would speculate this was potentially done as a ploy to see whether or not anybody cared about the series. By drumming up some noise about the show, it would then indicate if fan demand for Detours would rise from this happening so suddenly. It does seem more plausible that this happened by accident and could even have been done by someone working on the show behind closed doors, meaning it's much closer to a release than originally anticipated. As of late, Disney has been delving into their vault of content from previous eras of Star Wars. Most notably, the original Tartakovsky Clone Wars series was added to Disney Plus in April, along with more scarce projects such as the animated Boba Fett short from the holiday special, along with the very unexpected Ewok Adventures. Although these projects are no longer considered canon, I appreciate how Lucasfilm are now branching out to previous bits of content before Disney's takeover. Detours could potentially become part of this lineup for new programming across the streaming platform. Finally, in the past few days, rumors have circulated about a surprise release for the Detours series. Reported by news outlet The Vulcan Reporter, they claim to have inside information about Disney planning to release the series in 2021. From what they have apparently heard, it could release as early as Star Wars Day. Giving this report a mild slice of credibility, the same rumor was reported several weeks earlier by Jordan Mason of Cinelinx. With the word rumor in mind, I would once again like to reiterate that this is not a confirmed release. According to this source, even more content for the show has since been produced. This takes the total number of complete episodes to 52, with additional specials all awaiting their official release. For those completely unfamiliar with the Detours series, based on the content we have seen, I would personally compare it to the likes of Robot Chicken and Family Guy. Its value for comedy is drawn from absurdist humor and repetitive gags. The show supposedly takes place between episodes 3 and 4, with the comedy sketches considered to be timeless. It comes across as an acquired taste in comedy that isn't necessarily niche, but I can see how certain aspects of this show would come across as unlikable and outright annoying to a large percentage of viewers. That isn't to say that the show is bad or will be bad. It is understandably difficult, however, to judge an entire show with only one leaked episode sketch approximately 6 minutes in length. The leak occurred in November 2020 for an episode titled Dog Day Afternoon, where the clip surfaced on Reddit and was distributed for a brief time. Since the episode has since been taken down from the internet, I will refrain from showing any clips, but I must admit I did enjoy what I saw. Since these episodes were created before Disney contributed to the franchise, they solely reflect characters from the prequels and original trilogy. Dexter's Diner also seems to be a frequent location to derive humor, Dexter being a massive fan favorite character, of course.
Obi-Wan!
Hello, sexy.
Although I am sure there are far better comedy sketches for this series, the leaked content gave a pleasant and somewhat refreshing view of the franchise once seen very differently. I also appreciate the animation style, giving these characters an array of distinguishable designs. Messing with the character proportions is reminiscent of the chibi-looking stylistic choice applied to the majority of these designs. Utilizing a number of side characters from both the prequels and originals, the sketch begins with Dex arguing with a protocol droid about ensuring his broken dishes against acts of Gungan. Of course, this brings Jar Jar Binks into the scene, who is knocked to the floor by bounty hunters 4-LOM and Zuckuss. Entering the diner, their goal is to commit a robbery and steal Dex's credits. With Dexter all out of credits, Jar Jar accidentally inspires the bounty hunters to hold the entire diner for ransom instead. This is where the Coruscant police show up on the scene. Dex attempts to reconcile with the hunters in the hopes of a peaceful resolution, but Zuckuss remains violently persistent. After a brief negotiation sequence, the hunters are very easily persuaded to go outside with promises of credits, jetpacks, and even their own ship. With a guilty conscience, knowing that they will be arrested, Dex once again attempts to find a peaceful outcome for the criminal situation. Committing an act of insurance fraud, Dex arranges for the diner to be blown up. This makes Forlom and Zucker seem like capable bounty hunters in the eyes of the media, while also being able to claim the kitchen expenses with the insurance droid.
Old Ben needs grocery money.
Despite the simplicity of this sequence, I found it to be an enjoyable sketch, especially for the characters. The dialogue in particular was very witty, poking fun at the character designs and awkward situation comedy. This also opened up with additional cameos adding to the broader expectations of the show's humour. As I mentioned before, I do not feel this show would necessarily be for everyone's taste. However, I do find the content somewhat respectable, especially for the names involved with the series. Featuring the voice acting talents of those that have appeared in genuine Star Wars projects: Billy D. Williams, Anthony Daniels, D. Bradley Baker, Catherine Tabor, Ahmed Best, Tom Kane, alongside Weird Al Yankovic, Seth MacFarlane, Rachel McFarlane, even George Lucas himself making an appearance. Despite first impressions, I hope people will give this show a chance. It's a series I have wanted to cover on the channel for a little while, and with these rumours circulating, I thought it would be a great opportunity to discuss the show in a little bit more detail. Thank you for listening to my thoughts on Star Wars Detours. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave me a like down below. Let me know in the comments, do you think there is a possibility of seeing this show anytime soon? And for more content, be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, DVD Review Studios.
Are you threatening me?